Some plants don't wait for an opponent. They shoot their seeds into the air. Exploding trees, fruits that jump at the slightest touch, and pods that detonate with the rain. Discover 15 seeds and fruits that explode. A natural spectacle where life is launched with force and precision. 1. Sandbox tree. Deep in the tropical rainforests of Central and South America grows a tree that seems straight out of a science fiction story. It's called the sandbox tree, though its scientific name sounds less explosive. Hura crepitans. At first glance, it could be mistaken for any other majestic tree, but one only needs to get close at the wrong moment to discover its secret. Its fruits burst with the force of a small detonation. In effect, its woody capsules, thick, rounded, and tense like natural grenades, ripen under increasing internal pressure. When the sun's heat dries their surface, or a change in humidity affects them, the fruit's structure suddenly fractures. Then, with a dry bang, the pieces of the pericarp abruptly separate, and the seeds are launched more than 20 meters away, traveling at speeds that can exceed 240 kilometers per hour. It is the plant version of a biological projectile. Furthermore, this mechanism is not a mere whim of nature. The explosion serves a vital function: to disperse the seeds far from the mother tree to avoid competition for light, water, and nutrients. It is the perfect strategy to colonize new spaces, a veritable silent war between plants. However, there is one unsettling detail. The entire tree is covered in a highly toxic sap, capable of causing severe irritation and even temporary blindness if it contacts the eyes. Therefore, those working in the jungle avoid it with respect. In summary, the Hura crepitans combines beauty, danger, and one of the most spectacular forms of plant reproduction that exists. A plant that literally launches its offspring into the world through a controlled explosion, reminding us that even in the plant kingdom, there are strategies that border on the explosively ingenious. 2. Squirting cucumber. Exploding cucumber. In appearance, the squirting cucumber could pass for an innocent wild plant with bright green fruits. However, behind its modest look lies one of the most ingenious and surprising forms of plant dispersal that exists. Its scientific name, Ecbalium elaterium, already betrays its explosive nature. It comes from the Greek ekbalin, meaning to throw out with force. And that is exactly what it does. When the fruit ripens, its interior fills with a thick, viscous liquid that keeps the seeds in suspension. At the same time, the pressure inside the fruit gradually increases, reaching considerable levels. Then, the slightest touch, a curious insect, a drop of rain, or even a simple air vibration, is enough to cause the burst. The stem detaches, and the fruit becomes a veritable natural cannon, shooting a jet of mucilage loaded with seeds several meters away. This mechanism is so precise that botanists compare it to a biological propulsion system. The seeds, wrapped in the gelatinous substance, land far from the mother plant and adhere to the moist soil, which favors their immediate germination. It is, in essence, a perfect combination of power and evolutionary efficiency. However, not everything about the Ecbalium elaterium is wonder and admiration. Its sap contains toxic and bitter compounds, elaterin and cucurbitacins, that can cause strong irritation and even severe poisoning. Even so, in antiquity, it was used as a purgative, a remedy as drastic as it was dangerous. Thus, this little exploding cucumber demonstrates that nature has a peculiar sense of humor. It transforms a simple fruit into a living catapult, launching life with controlled violence, where evolution decided that surprise was its best weapon. 3. Touch-me-not, jewelweed, Impatiens capensis. I. balsamina. I. glandulifera. Among moist shrubs and riverbanks grows a plant as sensitive as it is unpredictable. The touch-me-not, also called jewelweed or balsam, impatiens. Its name sounds like a warning, and for good reason. When its fruits are ripe, the slightest brush is enough to trigger an instant reaction. The pods suddenly spring open, and the seeds are shot out in all directions, as if the plant had its own reflexes. Unlike the squirting cucumber, which fires a liquid jet, impatiens uses a system of elastic tension. Its pods are thin and translucent, and upon ripening, they accumulate mechanical energy in their walls. As soon as something touches them, an insect, a drop of rain, or a curious finger, the walls suddenly curl in on themselves, releasing the pressure with an audible snap. The tiny, shiny seeds can be launched over 2 meters away. This mechanism, known as ballistic dispersal, is a minor marvel of natural engineering. In fractions of a second, the plant ensures the expansion of its offspring without needing wind or animal intermediaries. And it does so precisely that each pod acts as a miniature catapult, synchronized not to waste energy. But the impatient story doesn't end there. Some species, like I. balsamina, are native to Asia and have been cultivated for centuries for their colorful flowers and medicinal use. Others, like I. glandulifera, have become invasive in Europe, spreading precisely thanks to this ingenious explosive impulse. It's a reminder that beauty and force can coexist in balance, or overflow if nature so decides. Thus, the touch-me-not is a plant that literally reacts to contact, a botanical dancer that transforms curiosity into motion and the slightest brush into an explosion of tiny life. 4. Hairy bittercress. In wool cracks, along roadsides, and in forgotten gardens grows a small but powerful competitor, the hairy bittercress, scientifically known as Cardamine hirsuta. At first glance, it seems fragile and delicate, with finely toothed leaves and tiny white flowers, but it hides a surprising trick. Its seeds can be shot out like projectiles when you least expect it. The magic happens inside its calyx, elongated and narrow fruits that contain several tiny seeds. As they ripen and the environmental moisture decreases, the walls of the calyx dry out and tense up like a drawn bow ready to shoot. Then, in an instant, the accumulated pressure is released, and the seeds are catapulted several meters away, seeking new soil to germinate and rapidly colonize spaces that other plants might occupy. This dispersal method is particularly effective for a plant of such small size. Its seeds, though minuscule, can reach surprising speeds thanks to the precision with which the calyx releases its energy. In a matter of milliseconds, a fruit that seemed harmless becomes a small biological launching machine, ensuring that the hairy bittercress remains one of the most successful colonizers of urban and rural corners alike. Moreover, its strategy reveals an elegant principle of nature. You don't always have to be big to survive and expand. The engineering of its calyx allows it to compete with taller, more robust plants, ensuring its offspring reaches open spaces without relying on wind, animals, or water. Thus, Cardamine hirsuta reminds us that even the most minute organisms can deploy explosive tactics with surgical effectiveness, transforming cracks and walls into launching pads of plant life. 5. Wood sorrel, Czepięć sorrel. In forest clearings and moist meadows grows a small treasure of explosive dispersal. Wood sorrel, or some species of sorrel, scientifically known as Oxalis species. Its tiny flowers and delicate leaves hide an ingenious secret: the ability to shoot its seeds through capsules that respond to moisture. The mechanism is based on hygroscopic tension, a fascinating physical principle. The fruit capsules slowly curve and coil as they dry, accumulating internal energy in their walls. At the slightest contact, or upon reaching a critical point of desiccation, the capsule snaps open with a sudden movement, and the seeds are launched in all directions. It is as if each fruit were a small spring loaded by nature, ready to unleash its potential with mathematical precision. This method ensures that the seeds are dispersed far from the mother plant, avoiding direct competition and increasing the chances of germination in places where light and nutrients are sufficient. Unlike large explosive trees, Oxalis uses the force of moisture and environmental dryness to transform the seemingly insignificant into a vigorous and surprising impulse. The wood sorrel's strategy also shows how nature utilizes simple physical phenomena for complex solutions. It doesn't need animals or wind. Each capsule is an autonomous launching system, optimized by centuries of evolution. In this way, small and fragile plants manage to conquer meadows and clearings with an efficiency that could rival human engineering. Thus, Oxalis species reminds us that even the most minute organisms can be masters of explosive dispersal, transforming ambient moisture into kinetic energy and each capsule into a tiny shot of plant life. 6. Violets, Viola species. In the shadowy corners of forests and garden edges bloom the delicate violets, belonging to the genus Viola species. Their flowers may seem fragile and soft, but their fruits conceal a mechanism that reveals surprising contained strength. Their dry capsules can expel seeds at a distance. When the fruits reach maturity, the capsules, thin and tense, begin to dry, accumulating internal energy in their walls. This tension acts like a tiny spring. Upon opening, the capsules suddenly release the seeds, launching them several times farther than might be expected from such a small plant. Each capsule thus becomes a minuscule natural catapult, ensuring the offspring finds a place to grow without competing with the mother plant. The process is silent, but effective. The seed speed depends on the accumulated tension and the fruit's elasticity, making the violet a perfect example of plant ballistic dispersal. This strategy not only guarantees survival, but allows the plant to colonize new spaces with surprising precision, leveraging the minimum resource, the energy stored in its dry walls. What is fascinating is that this technique requires no wind or animals. It is a completely autonomous system. Each ripe capsule functions as a small trigger, a work of biological engineering that has evolved to maximize the expansion of the species without external effort. Thus, Viola species shows us that even the smallest and most delicate plants can hide explosive survival strategies, transforming the simple desiccation of a fruit into a dynamic act of expansion and life. 7. Witch hazel. In the forests of eastern North America grows a shrub that combines elegance and force. The witch hazel, scientifically known as Hamamelis virginiana. Its yellow, fragrant flowers seem soft and delicate, but its fruits conceal a mechanism as surprising as it is violent. Woody capsules capable of projecting their seeds several meters away. These capsules, upon ripening, accumulate tension in their rigid, woody walls. It is a slow and silent process, yet full of contained power. When the internal pressure reaches its critical point, the capsule suddenly snaps open with a dry crack, releasing the accumulated energy. The result is a perfect shot. Each seed is launched several meters, far from the mother plant, ensuring it finds space and nutrients without competing with its progenitors. The fascinating thing about Hamamelis virginiana is that its design combines strength and precision. The capsule works like a natural spring, transforming the energy of dryness into kinetic motion. In a matter of milliseconds, a fruit that seemed immobile becomes a plant projectile, an elegant example of ballistic dispersal that has evolved to maximize the species' propagation. Furthermore, this mechanism occurs in the middle of autumn, when other plants have already finished their reproductive cycle. Thus, the witch hazel ensures a privileged place in the ecosystem, dispersing its seeds while other competitors rest. It is a silent but extremely effective strategy, combining beauty and efficacy in a single natural gesture. In this way, Hamamelis virginiana reminds us that even seemingly tranquil shrubs can hide explosive secrets, demonstrating that nature reserves impressive surprises in the most subtle details. 8. Crane's bill geraniums. In gardens and meadows across many parts of the world, geraniums, also known as crane's bill and belonging to the genus Geranium species, display colorful flowers that attract the eye. However, behind their beauty lies a dispersal mechanism as ingenious as it is unexpected. Their mericarps coil up to launch the seeds. Each geranium fruit is divided into mericarps, small sections that contain a seed. As they ripen and dry, these structures accumulate elastic tension in their walls. Then, in an instant, they coil in on themselves, releasing the stored energy and projecting the seed several centimeters away. It's as if each mericarp were a tiny spring, carefully calibrated by evolution to ensure the offspring moves away from the mother plant and has room to grow. The precision of this mechanism is surprising. Although the plant is small, its mericarps act as veritable catapults, firing each seed with the perfect combination of force and direction. This system does not depend on animals or wind, and it works autonomously. The fruit only needs to dry for the movement to occur, turning a silent gesture into an efficient launch of plant life. Moreover, this method allows geraniums to occupy varied spaces and rapidly colonize their surroundings. Each merocarp is a tiny dispersal machine, an example of how even seemingly delicate plants can employ explosive strategies to survive and prosper. Thus, geranium species reminds us that nature finds surprising solutions even in the smallest details. A simple dry merocarp can transform into a living catapult, launching seeds and ensuring the continuity of the species spectacularly. 9. Cracker plant. In warm, humid climates, among gardens and roadsides, grows a surprising plant known as the cracker plant, whose scientific name is Ruellia tuberosa. At first glance, it seems delicate, with lilac flowers and fine leaves. But its fruits hide an explosive trick that leverages the environment's own moisture. Its pods crack upon contact with water. The secret lies in the plant's hygroexplosive mechanism. The ripe pods contain seeds and tense walls that respond to water. When it rains or even upon contact with a drop, the capsule rapidly absorbs the liquid, swells, and then suddenly bursts, launching its seeds in all directions. The pressure generated by this hydric expansion allows each seed to travel several meters, ensuring the offspring is dispersed far from the mother plant. This method is especially effective in tropical and subtropical environments where humidity is frequent. Each capsule acts as a miniature catapult that converts rain into kinetic energy, transforming a simple, natural phenomenon into a precise and powerful launch. It requires no animals or wind. The water itself is responsible for firing the plant life. Furthermore, the Ruellia tuberosa strategy allows for the rapid colonization of nearby spaces, leveraging every rainfall as an opportunity for expansion. It is a fascinating example of how nature combines physics and biology for efficient solutions. Small, seemingly harmless pods become coordinated projectiles, ready to ensure the species' survival. Thus, the cracker plant shows us that even the most everyday thing, rain, can be the trigger for a miniature explosive spectacle. A reminder that nature always finds ingenious and surprising ways to disperse life. 10. Caper spurge. On roadsides and in gardens is found a plant that, despite its discreet appearance, hides a spectacular dispersal mechanism. The caper spurge, scientifically known as Euphorbia lathyris. Its fruits may seem harmless, but upon ripening and drying, its capsules burst open, launching the seeds with force. The secret lies in the tension accumulated in the capsule walls. As humidity decreases and the capsule dries, the internal pressure increases until, suddenly, it bursts, projecting the seeds several meters away. This mechanism allows the plant to rapidly colonize nearby spaces, ensuring the offspring does not compete with the mother plant for light, water, and nutrients. As with many Euphorbiaceae, the caper spurge is not only explosive, but also irritating. Its sap contains chemical compounds capable of causing skin and eye irritations, adding a layer of natural protection while fulfilling its reproductive function. Thus, each capsule is not just a seed catapult, but also a reminder that nature combines efficiency with defense. The Euphorbia lathyris strategy is a brilliant example of ballistic dispersal. It uses the desiccation of the capsule as a natural trigger, converting a simple physical phenomenon into a precise launch of plant life. Each explosion is silent, fast, and surprisingly effective, guaranteeing the species' propagation even in environments where other, larger plants might dominate. In this way, the caper spurge demonstrates that even discrete and seemingly ordinary plants can hide explosive secrets. Each dry capsule is a small dispersal machine, a reminder that nature is ingenious, unexpected, and sometimes dangerous. 11. Physic nut. In the tropics of America and Africa grows a robust shrub known as the physic nut, whose scientific name is Jatropha curcus. At first glance, it seems a calm plant, with green leaves and discreet flowers, but its fruits hide a spectacle few would expect. They snap open, launching the seeds at a distance. Each ripe fruit contains several seeds surrounded by a dry and tense pericarp. As the fruit desiccates, the walls accumulate elastic energy that acts like a natural spring. When the capsule reaches its limit, it suddenly bursts open, releasing the tension and projecting the seeds several meters. This mechanism ensures the seeds are dispersed far from the mother plant, increasing the chances of survival and colonization of new spaces. The efficiency of this method is notable. The seeds do not rely on wind or animals to move. The capsule's design itself does all the work. Each explosion is brief but precise, an example of natural engineering in miniature, where form and physics combine to maximize the species' propagation. Furthermore, Jatropha curcus has a defensive character. Its seeds and sap contain toxic compounds that deter animals and humans from consuming them, simultaneously protecting the fruit until it can fulfill its reproductive mission. Thus, each seed launch is a strategic act, a mixture of efficient dispersal and self-protection. In this way, the physic nut demonstrates that even seemingly tranquil shrubs can conceal an explosive mechanism, transforming a simple dry fruit into a natural catapult that ensures the expansion of plant life with force and precision. 12. Gorse. Furze. In the scrublands of northern Europe and temperate zones is found the gorse, also known as furze, and scientifically as Ulex europaeus. At first glance, it seems just another thorny shrub, with yellow flowers dotting the landscape, but its fruits conceal an explosive secret. Its pods burst with heat, surprisingly releasing their seeds. Each fruit is a small pod that, upon ripening, dries under the sun and accumulates tension in its walls. When the temperature reaches a certain threshold, the pressure is suddenly released. The pod violently snaps open, and the seeds are projected several meters, as if the shrub were firing small natural projectiles. This explosion ensures the offspring is dispersed far from the mother shrub, avoiding direct competition for light, water, and space. The Ulex europaeus strategy is especially useful in its ecosystem. Dense, sunny scrublands require seeds to find open gaps to germinate. The thermal explosion allows even a seemingly rigid and tranquil shrub to have an effective reach, using the sun's heat as a detonator. Furthermore, this species combines dispersal with defense. Its sharp spines protect both the fruits and the plant from animals that might consume them before the seeds are ready to be launched. Each bursting pod is an act of precision, an example of how nature combines physics, strategy, and survival in a single gesture. Thus, the gorse reminds us that even the most common shrubs can hide explosive secrets, transforming the sun's heat into kinetic energy and launching plant life with force and accuracy. 13. Lupins, Lupinus species. In meadows and along roadsides bloom the lupins, belonging to the genus Lupinus species, with their spikes full of colorful flowers that seem delicate but hide a surprising mechanism. Their pods pop and shoot the seeds. Each lupin fruit is an elongated pod that, upon ripening, dries out and accumulates tension in its walls. This tension behaves like a natural spring. When it reaches the critical point, the pod suddenly snaps open with a characteristic pop, releasing the accumulated energy and projecting the seeds several meters away. It is a silent but effective system, a classic example of ballistic dispersal in plants. The fascinating thing about this mechanism is its precision. The seeds, although small, are launched far from the mother plant, avoiding direct competition and increasing the chances of finding a suitable place to germinate. All this occurs without wind, animals, or other external factors. The dry pod itself does all the work, transforming a natural gesture into a surprisingly powerful launch. Additionally, lupins stand out for their adaptability. This dispersal system allows them to rapidly colonize open grasslands and poor soils, ensuring their survival in environments where other species might struggle. Each bursting pod is a work of biological engineering, combining elasticity, pressure, and perfect synchronization. Thus, Lupinus species reminds us that even plants that seem fragile and ornamental can be explosively ingenious, launching their offspring with precision and guaranteeing the continuity of the species with a simple burst of plant life. 14. Bitter melon. In tropical gardens and thickets grows the bitter melon, scientifically known as Momordica carrantia. Its green and rugged fruits hide a spectacle of color and motion. Upon ripening, the fruit abruptly opens and releases seeds wrapped in bright red arils. The process is dramatic and visually striking. As the fruit ripens, its husk tenses and accumulates internal pressure. Finally, the skin suddenly ruptures, expelling the seeds covered by their fleshy arils, which act as a natural lure to attract animals and birds. Although the initial impulse comes from the fruit's explosion, the intense color of the arils ensures the seeds are consumed and dispersed further, increasing the chances of germination in favorable places. This mechanism combines ballistic and biological dispersal. The force of the burst launches the seeds a certain distance, while the red arils invite animals to continue the journey, extending the dispersal range. It is a double strategy, elegant and effective, showing how evolution can use surprise and color as allies. Moreover, the bitter melon is impressive, not only for its explosive display, but also for its resilience. Its fruit, although delicate inside, protects the seed until it is ready to go out into the world, and the burst ensures that plant life expands precisely and efficiently. Thus, Momordica gerantia reminds us that even the strangest and bitterest fruits can hide explosive and colorful secrets, transforming maturity into a spectacular and visually striking act of dispersal. 15. Dwarf mistletoe. In coniferous forests grows a discreet but extremely ingenious parasite, the dwarf mistletoe, belonging to the genus Archeuthobium species. Although it doesn't produce roots in the soil, its fruits hide a spectacular mechanism. It shoots sticky seeds under pressure, ensuring each descendant finds a new host to thrive on. The seeds are enveloped in a viscous layer that acts as a natural adhesive. Upon ripening, the fruit generates increasing internal pressure until, finally, it bursts, projecting the seed distances of up to several meters. Thanks to this stickiness, the seeds adhere to the foliage of nearby trees, guaranteeing that the mistletoe can continue its parasitic cycle on a new host. This dispersal method is unique because it combines ballistic dispersal and parasitic strategy. It is not enough to be launched. The seed must latch onto the right place to germinate, and nature has perfected this system to maximize the success of each launch. Each burst is an act of precision, a biological projectile designed to adhere and colonize. Furthermore, the internal pressure that enables this shot makes the dwarf mistletoe a surprising example of plant engineering. The plant, though small and dependent on others, has developed an autonomous mechanism that allows it to expand without the help of wind or animals, relying solely on the physics of its fruits. Thus, Archeuthobium species reminds us that even parasitic plants can be explosively ingenious, transforming a tiny fruit into a biological catapult that ensures the species' propagation effectively and precisely.